What was that?
Damn you, son of a bitch!
You smell burning?
Yes.
Plane crashes and the angry ghost of a dead airman await the most haunted crew.
Oh my God! Hello and welcome to Most Haunted. This week we've brought you to RAF East Kirkby, the site of numerous World War II plane crashes, phantom pilots, ghostly footsteps and a control tower that seems to come alive with paranormal activity. We've certainly got our work cut out for us.
The construction of the airfield began in 1942. 57 and 630 squadrons were based here and they were equipped with the mighty Lancaster bombers. By 1943, the number of servicemen and women who were stationed at East Kirkby quickly topped 2,000. East Kirkby's aircraft suffered losses in Berlin and Nuremberg and Wessling raids. Towards the end of the war in April 1945, a Lancaster bomber caught fire whilst it was being loaded with bombs, resulting in a huge explosion, which set off further bombs. 4 people were killed, 6 Lancasters were destroyed and a further 14 were damaged. The RAF finally disposed of the site in 1970 and now it's a museum.
This is one of the most haunted airfields in Lincolnshire, possibly in the country. A lot of paranormal activities taking place here. There have been so many plane crashes on this airfield. That's obviously one of the reasons.
We put this hangar up here that we're sitting in now in 1987, and there's been lots of happenings here. To start to tell you how, all the ghosts, it'll be here a long, long while.
There's been an awful lot of young lives cut short after taking off or landing from this airfield.
There is so much wreckage here from a multitude of crashes, and one in particular is the wreckage of a Spitfire. The body of the pilot was found underneath the plane over 50 years after the plane crashed. His wallet, still intact, gave up the sad story of a man who cancelled his leave only to be killed. Is it his ghost that's seen walking away from the wreckage, or is it just dark shadows moving around in an old warehouse?
Now, you can't get closer to a death scene, if you like, than actually bringing the wreckage here and housing it, because it was that wreckage that took those lives away. And I think that is why some of those unfortunate, tormented souls still linger. And many people working in that hangar late at night have sensed ghostly goings on. There's a very interesting crash of a B-17 American bomber. He was actually from another airfield and he was in trouble and he desperately wanted to land here at East Kirkby, and he radioed in, was not given permission to land and was told to go round again. He went round again and still wasn't allowed to land, and on his 3rd attempt he crash landed on the perimeter of the airfield. And all 10 of those poor, unfortunate young American airmen perished.
That was in 1944, and it crashed in December 1944, and I was only 13 years of age then, but I remember it very well because I was the second person to go to the crash site. In fact, I see the flying fortress coming down. There wasn't anything anyone could do. We see them, they brought them out on stretchers covered up with blankets, and they was burnt to us in ash nearly. They was just black, yeah. I remember it as if it was yesterday, that.
An American airman's been seen wandering along this airfield towards the control tower. Now, I believe that is possibly the captain, the pilot of that plane, actually making his way across this airfield to go into that control tower, to, if you like, have it out with the controllers to see why they wouldn't let him land. And I think that's why his tormented soul still lingers around this airfield to this day.
In the early 40s, when war raged across Europe, this part of the control tower would have been in operation 24 hours a day by service personnel who were trying to safely land stricken aircraft. A strange feeling of being watched has been experienced in this room by staff, and also a dull murmuring of voices has been heard when there's no one here.
The control tower, of course, that was the hub. That was where so much, if you like, energy was used, emotion, if you like, all those planes taking off and landing, being controlled by all those people in the control tower. And there's all sorts of strange things going on. Lights have been seen. Obviously, for a long period of time, there was no electricity in that building, and people caravanning used to report seeing green lights shining all through the night, and then they'd go along in the morning to have a look, and of course, no electricity, no light switches, but there was a light on.
I've seen these lights 3 times, and what sticks out the most is you don't, when you see them, you do feel quite calm. You certainly don't feel threatened by the light. The other thing I notice with these green lights, when you do see them, you never see them come and you never see them go.
People, since this place has been open to the public and is now set up as an old-fashioned control tower, walking around, hear the telephones going. They've got old-fashioned telephones in there, but none of them are connected.
When you go in there at night on your own, it's very, very quiet, and quiet is quiet. But when you get something quieter than quiet, that goes straight through you. And any man, we've been no end of people, lots of people are going, even policemen will say, oh, I'll do it, but they always run back at the last minute, if you like. So I do defy anyone to do that.
Now, Phil, there are plenty of supposed haunted airfields in Great Britain, but what makes Kirkby so special?
Well, this has actually got the reputation of being the most haunted airfield in Great Britain, based on the documented sightings. They've had everything from American airmen to disembodied voices in the control tower, telephones that ring by themselves, and the feeling in the control tower of oppression is quite noticeable.
Oh gosh, I don't fancy that later on at all.
No, it's going to be interesting later on.
What about the baseline tests? Because you spent a long time doing those. Did you come up with anything? I mean, it must be very difficult because it's got such a huge amount of space.
It is difficult in the hangar. We've used the EMF meter around some of the parts to see if there's any residual energies. Nothing was detected. In the control tower, it's a different story altogether. We can do all the baseline tests in the control tower. The EMF meter, again, didn't pick anything up, but hopefully later on, things might kick off.
I think with what's happened here, with all the different things I've seen on the airfield, I certainly do believe in them, or there is something paranormal that is happening. So I certainly believe more that there is than what there isn't.
As the temperature dropped to freezing and the night descended, the airfield didn't look so friendly anymore. With the arrival of our medium, Derek Akora, we made our way into the hangar.